Hello, all you drama enthusiasts. Welcome to the meeting. This is Angie's Drama Room, and I am your meeting host, Angie. And if you did not know what is Angie's Drama Room, I do my thoughts, my commentary, my insights, my reviews, and possibly sometimes a little bit of a rant when it comes to Asian dramas that I have watched lately. The Perfect Crown finished airing. It was 12 episodes long. It just finished airing. Again, we know this stars IU and Byeon Seok. I liked it. It wasn't the greatest of them all, right, that is out there. But however, it still kept me wanting to watch it and kept me going further into it. And I think this time for me, it was probably because of the leads, Byeon Yul Suk, IU, and I think together they did a great job bringing out this role. However, the thing with Perfect Crown, it lacked storytelling. The director of this drama has done several great dramas, and I'm surprised that this one was said. It was Love Your Enemy, Alchemies of Souls 1 and 2, Touch Your Heart, What's Wrong with Secretary Kim, Because This Is My First Life, Bring It On Ghost. I mean, he has done several great dramas in the past. So I was surprised that The Perfect Crown again was just lacking storytelling. The way it came about basically was it was like a contest. I think NBC or some contest, and the scriptwriter who wrote this won it. Okay, and so now they developed it into a drama. And so I don't know if they had to cut it down really short or what, but I found that there was not enough explanations in certain things. It kind of just got us into the moment of each scene. Let's talk about the unanswered scenes or unanswered things. First thing, when the first scene came out, the fire. What was the purpose of that fire that first came seen? I thought it had something, they would, put it all together. There was no purpose. It was just a scene, and they had a fire, the first fire. One of the things, if anything, they would have needed to ban open flames, matches, torches, or anything that would cause explosions, because that's all the thing was. It was just a bunch of fires going on. But however, that's where I wasn't quite sure what was the purpose of that fire. Or could it just been a fire that just happened? Maybe that's, and just to bring us into this context about the fire. The second one that was left hanging ending was when Heeju got into that car accident, or the car, and the brakes went out on her. And they really didn't explain who done that and why they would have done it. You kind of still were left to logic, because we know it cannot be the prime minister, because he liked Heeju and he would not harm her, and he would have just not make sure she didn't get in the car. So then you kind of was just thinking, okay, well, maybe it was the Day Mama, right? Maybe they thought it was her, but again, it was still unanswered questions of who did that car accident. The third one I thought it was leaving hanging was when his brother, the crown prince, then became king, and when he wrote the decree to abdicate from the throne and hand it over to his brother, and she came, and of course the crown princess at the time, which was Bay Mama or something, she came in and fought and burned it. Then we saw the scene where Ian, right, the grand prince, he had it in his hand, right? And so, but it was still enough on there that he knew what was going on, what he was supposed to do, that he was supposed to, his brother wanted to take over the throne. It didn't explain it. It didn't explain how he got it. It didn't explain that how did he get partial of the papering of it. and there was still a fire, and he still ended up dying in the fire. So, and we know that his brother and his son were off sides. So who? Why didn't they save him? Because we know the fire already was spread it so far, and then the firefighter or somebody took him, brought him out. So I know he at least had to get the son to safety, right? I get that. But however, he had enough time to grab the paper. So that's another thing. It's just it was just lacking storytelling. It didn't have enough story in it. It just gave us scenes. And it's almost like a skit drama. You know, it's just certain scenes and you certain skits and certain things, and they just kind of added fillers in it. And this drama was supposed to be a winning script, and they just had to put it together. But again, let's talk about, I think that was kind of it, the ending. And then we had the ending, and somebody mentioned on the social platforms, they said, how are you going to give us a whole nother ending on the last episode, a whole nother, not ending, but a whole nother conflict on the last episode? His brother wanted to leave the throne, but it never stated that Prince Ian wanted to abolish the monarchy. It's like, wait a minute, where did that come from? You know, we were all rooting for him to take back the throne, but now he's talking about he wants to abolish the monarchy. So yeah, it didn't make sense. Again, I was there. I watched everything. The best part, really, and not just the little things of the domesticated things that Heju done with Prince. That was cute. I like those. It was cute. It was Heju's brother. He kind of went in and saved the day on most of these episodes and when something happened, when this whole debacle about the contract, right, the marriage contract they had, my thought was she needed to turn into Heju and leave the little princess alone. Because she has to turn into the Heju in the first episode in order to deal with it, which she kind of did. But she was dealing with it where the Prince Eon was like, you did not trust me enough to deal with this. So anyway, but the brother, he came through. I like the brother. He came through on this. So it was actually pretty good. Also, one of the things, so at the end with the monarchy, abolish, hey, spoilers, I'll leave, but anyway, to abolish the monarchy, that just came out of the blue. And again, it's who we thought it was going to be, right? Which is, it was the prime minister and the father, right? And reason why he wanted to abolish the monarchy, because he said all it is now is just rituals, and you and your family to have a status, and that's all you cared about is the status. And so then they try to hold back money in order to get him not to do it. And so Heju was going to use her money, and then of course and what ended up happening was they try to go after his father's company, her father's company, and then that's when her brother came in and saved the day again. But then he had nothing else, no prospects afterwards. Well, what was was the deal? You had no job now. And we abolished the monarchy. It was approved, and they said, let's take it to the people. The people, they approved it. So yeah, there was, so now I'm like, well, what is he gonna do now? Well, they didn't explain. All he became was like a house husband, or he did certain things. I thought he at least would have gone to Heju's job, but Heju became, went back to her work 3 years later. It bounced to 3 years later, and here we are. And again, 12 episodes. It was maybe 5 or 7. I would give it a 7 because the scenes that they put them in were excellent, but the storytelling is what dropped it. Let's talk about the controversy. I looked it up. And basically, the problem the few select, because since episode one and all the way through, they were trying to down this whole perfect crown. They were really attacking, whether it was IU's acting, whether it's Byeon Sook's acting. They found something to try to attack. Now, I don't know what platforms that were going on in Korea. Was this even with the Korean, or was this just international? But again, I'm on X, and that's pretty much all I was hearing about. They were just bombarding about how they were just trying to down this, and then when he ascended to the throne, it was the headpiece he wore, and that is what kind of, it was only like a minute of the scene. I can't remember beating. It was a beating. I can't remember which beating it was supposed to be, but whether it was nine beatings, but it's supposed to be 12. I think it was supposed to be, I think it was a 12 beatings, but it was supposed to be 9. Vice versa. I'm not quite sure exactly what it was, but it was still the proper headdress. It's just the fact that the beating was wrong. And so people were up in arms, they started blasting. Historians came forward. And again, it's a fictional drama. And I said, this should show others that if you are, as a Korean, having issues with what you were watching when it came to your culture and things, it should show a little bit more sensitivity for other cultures or other K-drama watchers who feel that their culture was being misinterpreted also. So it kind of makes you to open your eyes to understand how everybody is coming forward. I get how they feel. I understand how they feel. But I can't really put myself into their situation. I can have sympathy, but not empathy for them. But to me, since it was still the proper head dressing, it's just a beating was wrong. I don't see that if this was an issue to go this far deep into it, to where now I read somewhere where the KOCCA, which is the Korean Communications or something, who put funding into it because they were using ancient wear. They were putting funding into it. Now they're talking about reviewing to see if they should take back the funding. And then what I was thinking, it was, now we had IU first came back and apologized. Why? She didn't write the script. She was just doing with the script. And then later, Byeon Sook came and apologized, bowing. I'm like, why? You didn't write the script. You were just doing what you told was what they were supposed to be doing. So now after a few days later, several days later, now the director came and apologized, and even went further, which he should have just stopped there, but he went even further about IU's acting and Byeon Sook's acting. No, you don't need to be doing that. Own up to it. You kind of slept through the directions of this drama, so you need to own up to your own fault. Don't blame, the others saying that, oh, this is what my vision was. No, let's own up to something. And I had nothing wrong with IU and Byeon Sook's acting. It was supposed to be what they were supposed to do. People just don't, it's just they were just against them from the beginning. And that's kind of how it was. But however, I'm quite sure in order for them to wear these dress, the headpiece and the costumes that were in it, were authentic to Korean. I don't think they went to some store online and tried to grab it, So it had to be authentic because they had to get it from somewhere. I could show sympathy for them. I could understand where they were coming from. However, I can't put myself in their shoes to really say, oh, they need to go after them. I just feel, my thing is, to me, it just didn't seem like a advancement as much to go this far, especially when you're talking about a handful of people, and maybe 10%, 5% was having an issue with it.